Cool. Well, hello and good luck, Ritbeggar. Would you like to play first? No, even though I'm not exactly a super control deck, I'm still happy to be going a little bit later and getting cards. This is a little bit rough. I have two, and then one land gets me out of this, and then Garrick's Horde. Yeah, and then Divination will also help me continue to draw out of it. So, and being on the draw, I'm not going to. Hey, good luck, have fun. Thanks, Ritbeggar. So I'm going to mulligan to 6? No. A little bit risky, but in this format, I think it's a little okay. That way we're not going to, it's not like we're facing a super aggro deck or anything. Hey, there we are. Doesn't really matter which color we play first. Put the fear in my opponent. Maybe I should have played the forest to suggest I might have the Baloth. Who knows? Let me just keep drawing lands, which isn't awesome, but also not horrible. If my opponent keeps doing nothing, I'll play Scroll Thief. Academy Raider. We'll let that resolve. And then we will play the Scroll Thief, and then maybe a Trained Condor and try to get some cards online. And my Scroll Thief isn't amazing in my deck, but, you know, maybe my opponent tries to remove it or something. And let's see if my opponent has a follow-up play here. I assume still an attack with Academy Raiders. And there's probably going to be something coming through. Can't block. So sorry. My opponent played, okay, ditching a land, getting some good card selection. And a backup. Ooh, Death Gaze Cockatrice, that's good. What do I want to do? I think I'm just gonna get the Trained Condor online? Is that correct? I don't know, if I play the Warden out now, I don't mind training it for Death Gaze Cockatrice. And on top of that, then if I draw a land next turn, I can play the Trained Condor and like a Root Walla if the Warden's still around. Otherwise, I can play the Trained Condor to sort of threaten, you know, against my opponent. The picking up with a Scroll Thief. But I don't really want to prioritize. At this point, the Scroll Thief is just kind of like blah, and this Academy Raider is just going to do a whole lot of work against me. But so if that's the case, yeah, we're going to go ahead and play the Warden out. A little bit of hopes of either trading off the Death Gaze and keep the Trained Condor down, or just next turn being able to play Trained Condor plus something else. So that'll do it. That will be the turn. No attacks. I don't have attacks. I gotta keep getting hit with Academy Raiders. He gets to keep rummaging. Really. I'm not a fan of that. Might have been better to play the Root Walla, but I think that's going to be a pretty important creature soon enough. Alright. My opponent gets to do the same rummage. Ooh, side note, playing against black, and that was pretty open, so remember, I'm scared of a black opponent, since whoever was in black gets a whole lot of good things. Well, my opponent discarded Dragon Hatchling, so maybe it's not that the most insane of decks. Blood Baron. Ooh, Sacrifice deck? That is a good card. I'm going to get in with the Warden here, because if my opponent trades with Death Gaze Cockatrice, that's cool. That does allow me to get the Trained Condor down. But then actually, if that happens, then I'm kind of stuck with what play? Nothing. No, it's actually more important for me to play the Trained Condor and a second creature. Even though it signals that my opponent doesn't want to be blocking this Warden. But that's cool. I'm curious to see if my opponent does that. Alright, so my opponent just takes it, which is definitely what I would do if I'm showing that, like, I want, that I have this Trained Condor backup, and having it with Scroll Thief and Root Walla is going to be pretty good. Alright, So do I want to block Blood Baron with anything? Honestly, if Blood Baron comes in, yeah, I would just block with a Scroll Thief, because I'm happy to trade the Scroll Thief with one of these guys. That's cool. So, still not excited for my opponent just digging through the deck, but there you go. Wow, Wild Guess? Gosh. My opponent is playing some not awesome cards in Dragon Half Stand Wild Guess. But this Academy Raider is just going to get me. At worst, next turn I should be able to divinate into an Advocate. Problem is, then I'm open to Mind Rot with this Garruk's Horde, which is a very real possibility. And right now, if I get Mind Rotted, I'm just ditching these two. But, a little... Ooh, second Academy Raiders. Okay. What do I want to do? Unfortunately, I think I have to risk doing a... Yeah, I'm going to divinate here. If I can get Claustrophobia online, that would be cool. Well, didn't get it. So we'll play that guy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely attacking with the Warden. And the Trained Condor. Do I want to pick up a Root Walla or a Scroll Thief? And do I just attack with Root Walla anyway? Which I can pump to do like a 2-for-1 or something, or do the Death Gaze. Yeah, I think I just attack in with everything. And then actually play Advocate of the Beast backup. Because right now, if my opponent blocks the Scroll Thief, I can 2-for-1 myself, which normally isn't great. But, I mean, there's Doomblade, though, up. Oof. Wasn't paying attention to that. Yeah, I'm actually going to just attack with everything except for the Scroll Thief. I'm trying to get a card out of the Scroll Thief, and that's just never going to happen. So we're going to attack in with the Warden, the Trained Condor, and the Root Walla, picking up the Root Walla. And then my opponent can decide what to do here. I assume Death Gaze Cockatrice is going to block one of these dudes. It has to. My opponent has to clear up the board at some point. I'm actually really happy if it's the Root Walla. That is grand. Cool. Again, worried about Mind Rot, but I'll keep Garruk's Horde because I'm one land away from casting it. And even though Baloth and Advocate is pretty cool, but I'm getting 2 a turn. My opponent's getting to dig through the deck as needed. Oy. Alright, attacking with everything. That's interesting. I'll block the Scroll Thief with the Blood Baron? Because then it gets rid of one of the Academy Raiders, right? Or do I just take 4 damage here and try to win a race? The Advocate I do like because of Rumbling Baloth, but if Rumbling Baloth goes by the Wade side, then that's not that awesome. I'm just going to take the damage. It just gives my opponent basically an extra rummage, and at this point that's happening. And I can just wait for Giant Growth to come down in order to do some better blocks with like a Sacrifice of Blood Baron and then getting like a Giant Growth online. Because I think next turn, if I don't draw land, I'll be playing the Baloth with Giant Growth backup. And I will be hopefully drawing a card next turn. And right now we are winning the race, if there is a race. What? Did anyone notice this Ogre Battle Driver being discarded? Is that just because of Corpse Hauler right now? That is just crazy. So Trained Condor, picking up the Scroll Thief, attacking you with everybody. Corpse Hauler, maybe with a Ring Flesh killing this, but probably just going to block, sack, get Battle Driver? That cannot be correct. Yeah, that just seems crazy. But I am going to put a lot of pressure on my opponent. I do want to draw my card here. What is my opponent must have like a Doomblade or something insane. But if that's the case, why are you ditching Ogre Battle Driver? It just makes no sense to me. Yeah, sack, great. Bring your Battle Driver back. Deathgaze Cockatrice? What? What? I'm so confused right now. And a Trollhide. That'll be cool. Alrighty, so playing the Baloth, and then do I want the Deadly Recluse down, or do I want to have the Giant Growth back up? This is going to be a 5/5. Yeah, we'll play the Deadly Recluse. Because now the Baloth can block the Blood Baron, and it would have to Blood Baron would have to sacrifice both Academy Raiders. And then if there's a removal spell, which I assume my opponent has in hand, or even like a Corrupt or something, it could take it out, but I still have Deadly Recluse back up to start doing some blocks. So what is this? Corrupt? My opponent goes back up to 15. I still have a lot of damage coming back. What am I missing here? That my opponent discarded Ogre Battle Driver for better cards and then picked up the Deathgaze Cockatrice instead of Ogre Battle Driver. Is that ever correct? Just because I have flyers? Super confused. Liturgy of Blood, okay. So there goes that guy. Ooh, and an Active Treason. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, that is going to be bad. I definitely should be thinking about Active Treason. Duh, my opponent's playing a Sacrifice dude with red. Of course there's an Active Treason. Can my opponent kill me? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, not quite. But then do I have lethal on the crackback? Yeah, I have lethal on the crackback, so I think we'll be okay here. Maybe not now that my opponent left the Academy Raiders back. So in the air I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, that is still going to be lethal. Yeah. What? Okay, so my opponent must be a new player or something else, or I don't know what, but I have no clue why this all just happened. Yeah. 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 Must have been a misclick. That's a bummer. Yeah, I was really confused. I thought my opponent was a new player. No, my opponent just made a mistake, and we've all done that. That sucks. Yeah. So anyway, I'll see you in the sideboard. I'm gonna talk to my opponent for a moment. Okay, in sideboarding here, really all I have is this Naturalize or Brindlebore to consider bringing in, which I'm not going to care about. I'm going to keep the negate up for one of the removal spell counters. Don't care about Frost Breath. So I'm just going to keep it exactly the way it is, and I'll see you in the second game. Alright, so here, an arguable an arguable keep with Deadly Recluse and Sensory Deprivation to get us into our good spells. And yeah, again, my opponent didn't show a whole lot of pressure. Having Deadly Recluse and Sensory Deprivation to like kind of hold off my opponent's starts. Again, I'm not going to. And it's really just because of the format. Being on the draw, late game stuff, I have two powerful spells that I want. Very worried about Mind Rot now, because Enlarge and Briar Pack Alpha are going to hang out for a while. But having, and especially drawing Giant Growth, means there could be quite a bit of strong stalling going on while I, trade off and stuff. I'm not going to trade Deadly Recluse for the Corpse Hauler. I'll take 2 damage here and there. There's the Blood Baron. Gotta be careful of active treason at any point. Alright, we'll take our 2. Okay, that's a bummer. Sensory Deprivation on Blood Baron is okay. Not good on Corpse Hauler because that's just going to be sacked anyway. Maybe I just Ranger's Guile, Deadly Recluse, and block and just start trades happening. I do think that'll be fine. Just stem the bleeding. What removal spells did I see? I saw Liturgy, right? That was it. I'm assuming there's more being played, which is why I'm very hesitant to use a Giant Growth on the against like the Corpse Hauler or something. Do I just go for it though? What could it be? Doomblade? I mean, that's really all there could be. No, I guess there's the -3, -1, but then it's still just a 2 for 2. Yeah, until my opponent shows me Doomblade, I'm just going to go ahead and play around it. Or not play around it, rather. I guess it could be shocked. Do I want to use Giant Growth or Ranger's Guile? I'll do this. Maybe because people play around Giant Growth so much, not as much Ranger's Guile. So, there you are. I'm still training a Giant Growth for a Corpse Hauler, so that's not awesome, but that has just to do with just trying to, again, stay a little bit late game here, because we need to draw our 3rd land in the nearest of futures. So if I block Deadly Recluse to Blood Baron and I Ranger's Guile, it's just a 2/3 and my opponent can sack it, and there's just, ooh, well, now we know what we're doing. Keeping Deadly Recluse around to hang on to the Marauding Maulhorn. My opponent knows I do not have a counter spell. That's an Essence Scatter. We'll take our 2, possibly a 4 if my opponent just wants to get some value online here, which is going to have to happen. Hey, there's our next land. Okay, would I rather have a Root Walla or just Divinate right now? I do like Divination so I continue to hit my land drops and then maybe get Briar Pack Alpha next turn. But the Deadly Recluse is going to end up blocking this Marauding Maulhorn. And I'm not going to be chumping with Root Walla anyway if, like, say, a remote spell takes out the Deadly Recluse. So because of that, we're just going to use Divination here. There we go. Now we have our land drops for the future. Could be in a whole herd of pain if something comes down to get rid of the Deadly Recluse, like Liturgy of Blood or Active Treason, which are very strong possibilities for my opponent here. Or Quag Cygnus, yeah, exactly, see. Could have been right just to keep Ranger's Guile up for just such an occasion. But now my opponent does have no cards in hand, unless this comes back. Nope. Still, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points of damage can come through right now. 11, 12, 13 points of damage, so that can get very painful very quickly. Don't see a lot of hope of getting out of this. Root Walla comes down just to trade off Marauding Maulhorn, but I have to pump it with a Ranger's Guile. That's lame. So it looks like Briar Pack Alpha has to come down just to trade with the Marauding Maulhorn. Then I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, my opponent actually has lethal. We'll see if my opponent knows about having lethal. But that's just what I have to do. And I don't know how I'm going to come back after that anyway, but Get a bit more mana online shortly. So yeah, having banked on this slow format means I really got punished for this 5-3 while I was kind of stuck on lands, which, again, completely my fault. Alright, opponent's attacking with everything. It could be right not to show this Briar Pack Alpha to my opponent, but it does also mean that like I have like hope of winning the game. If I block the Briar Pack to the Blood Baron, 2 creatures have to be sacrificed, which means it's just trading with an elemental, but it prevents a lot of damage. Yeah, I'm just going to block the Maulhorn. Not correct, because again, I think my opponent has ways to like just get enough damage through. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 8 points of damage my opponent get through with this Blood Baron. That means the board's clean, and I have more blockers. I know, my opponent can just actually win. I forgot. I did the math already. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I'm tapped out. And there it is. Which is fun. Note to self. Pay attention to your lands and your mulligans. Yeah. Yeah, I think the main issue there was, well, aside from I should have blocked the Blood Baron at the end just to prevent that win right there. You know, I think it still could have gotten me in a dire position. I should have also not kept that 2-land hand. Could have been great, you know, if I had drawn a land like I did in the first game, but it was a little too dicey, I suppose, only having Deadly Recluse. Still don't see anything I want to trade up with this Naturalize of any kind, so yeah, we'll keep it the same way. Would you like to play first? No, I still want to be drawing. Alright, do I go with a similar mistake? Here we have a Seacoast with a Sensory Deprivation, and then a Warden of Eosile. When my opponent seems to have trouble with flyers, I'm going to keep it again. I still think I want to bank on being on the draw, especially now that my opponent is down to 6, and being able just to, like, you know, hold off some threats. And the 1-3 actually does a whole lot of holding off threats against my opponent's deck at first, so that's cool. If we draw another land and being able to curve out, that'll be pretty sweet. Cannon Raiders, okay. I want to go late. Do I just attack with Seacoast Drake? No, I don't really care. We'll get this Warden online. Yeah, my opponent starts doing things with Academy Raider, but maybe we'll just card advantage out, having my opponent gone down so low. So next turn, do I want to play Train Condor and Deadly Recluse, or just my Roman Bailoff, assuming I draw a land? What's my opponent doing here? Yeah, just the Academy Raider is fine. That's what my opponent should do. Okay. So in this case, we just play the Train Condor with Ranger's Guile backup. Do I attack in with Warden of Venus Isle, which will trade with Dragon Hatchling? Probably not. Then at some point I have to start bashing through, right? I'm going to go ahead and offer the trade here, because that'll allow my flyers to continue to get through. and Warden has pretty much done what it needs to do. And I'm fine with this trade here. My opponent has seen Giant Growth, and I'm representing that pretty hard here. Maybe my opponent just plays around it. I don't know. It's okay. I could play a Ranger's Guile just to make my opponent tap on that thing of mana, but that would be absolutely redonkulous. Now that the ground's clear, or the air's clear, I can start attacking in more. Sensory Deprivation will probably go on those Academy Raiders soon enough. In fact, the next game will probably be Deadly Recluse with Sensory Deprivation on the Raiders, so my opponent can start rummaging, or stop rummaging a whole bunch. Ooh, Cursed Spirit actually will take the Sensory Dep Pro, for sure. Still not there, my opponent being able... Yeah, my opponent's not even opting to do it now. It just has, you know, gas in hand. Yeah, I'm actually cool with doing the Sensory Deprivation here, attacking in with the Flyers, playing the Deadly Recluse, and keeping Ranger Giles back up. And then we'll get Roaming Bailiff on next turn. Really, I just wanted to get the Sensory Deprivation going here, because that's kind of key in my opinion. Then we'll pass the turn with our Ranger's Guile. Pitchburn Devils. Very not excited to see, but could blank a some kind of play thanks to the Ranger's Guile. Still not looting, which isn't great, but it's a thing. And now we're stuck. Do I want to be Ranger's Guiling here? Or keep Ranger's Guile? No, I think I just want to get the Bailout online for this Trained Condor. Still want to attack in for 3 here. Do I attack in for 4? See if my opponent wants to do a 2-for-1. Deadly Recluse isn't doing a whole lot anyway, and I'm not going to be blocking the Pitchburn Devils with the Deadly Recluse because of the 2-for-1. Yeah, I'm actually going to attack in with the Deadly Recluse. Get my extra point in. So, do I block Pitchburn Devils with my Rumbling Baloth? This could just take an Act of Treason here, though I don't think that's the greatest idea. Ooh, Lightning Talons. That's interesting. So my opponent has Shock? No? Just trying to get the race swung around somehow? That's interesting. That was a good draw. Very, very good draw. So what do? We just attack in with everything for 5, 6, 7, 8. And what do? Do I care the extra point that Deadly Recluse is going to have online? Or just want to like save for my opponent bashing in here? If my opponent blocks with either of these guys, then I get to Ranger's Guile to save the points of damage that come through, and then also play the Advocate, which I definitely like. I don't get that extra point of damage thanks to anything, but I'm going to offer the trade with the Deadly Recluse. No, I guess I'll just save it for blocking. Because it doesn't do anything in this race. So my opponent's on a turn 2 clock right now as it is. I'm going to play Advocate, use Ranger's Guile to protect anything my opponent tries to do with a removal spell. And hopefully try to win on the crackback. What is this, a Quag Sickness? Liturgy would be awesome here, because countering that means my opponent takes an entire turn, and then we're set up pretty well. So here's an Act of Treason. My opponent's going to sacrifice that, so that's 5, 6, 7, 8. No, we just got to counter it. There's just, that's what my opponent wants to do. I can't let my opponent do that. Quag Sickness can still take something out, like the Flyer, but I still have huge beats online. My opponent only has 1 card in hand. If my opponent attacks the entire team, I presume I stay alive. I don't think anything that can kill me with an extra, 6 points of damage. There's a Mind Rot. Okay. Alright. GG's. Yeah, my opponent probably is a little frustrated, especially for that first game loss, even though my opponent didn't know that I was already going to be winning that. But yeah, we got there thanks to Ranger's Guile. Good call. Round 2 on its way.